Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome.
Thank you.
So, I'm Vadeesh, founder and CEO of Algoshack. The topic is AI-powered diagnostics. Typically, when we talk about AI-powered diagnostics, we start with, access. We start with speed, etc. Let me begin somewhere else. Imagine a family just now has been told that a loved one may have a serious medical condition, and the physician, has recommended a CT scan or MRI scan. And let's say that appointment for a CT scan or MRI scan that the physician recommended is 3 weeks away. What happens in those 3 weeks? First of all, there will be a lot of anxiety. There will be sleepless nights. There will be endless questions. There will be multiple internet scans,
Yes.
Internet searches. And then there will be fear. Of course, there will be hope. There will be anticipation. But then every day is not a day on a calendar. Each day would take much longer than it is for the family. So that is why this conversation is very important. This conversation is not about technology alone. It is not about AI alone. It is also about helping clinicians make better and faster decisions.
Correct.
It's about making healthcare systems accessible, healthcare systems efficient. It's about helping patients find those answers sooner than later. And that is why this conversation is important, and I've been looking forward to having this conversation for quite some time now, this being our fourth session in this monthly series. It is, as much as it is about AI, it is also about improving human lives. And that's what makes it very interesting. Of course, in the session today, we will talk about AI. We'll talk about not just what AI can do, what AI should do, where human judgment must remain central, how intelligent systems can be validated and trusted, and what takes to move them from promising demos to everyday clinical use. We'll be discussing exactly that.
Yes.
And that's also why Algoshack is hosting this conversation. We are into autonomous testing of complex regulated software-driven environments. And the challenges we'll discuss today, they are everyday reality for us. I mean, we do discuss these with our customers. Our teams are engaged in such conversation on an ongoing basis. This afternoon, we want to go beyond the headlines. We want to have a very honest conversation about the promise of AI-powered diagnostics, the complexity behind it, the trust that must be earned, and the responsibility that must be shared between people who build and deploy the systems and clinicians and others that use those systems. That is the conversation that we are going to have. To explore that from every important angle, we have three leaders whose experiences cut across product engineering, platform transformation, and frontline clinical practice. Once again, thank you, Dr. Madhav Hegde, Shruthi, and Kumar for joining us. Let me introduce the panelists. Kumar Hosangadi is a technology leader with more than 25 years of experience across software-defined product engineering, platform transformation, and AI-led innovation at organizations including GE Healthcare, Philips, and Siemens. He has shaped platform strategies, led global engineering teams, and delivered regulated healthcare products across international markets. His work sits at the intersection of technological possibility, product reliability, and compliance with standards such as FDA, CE, and ISO 13485. Welcome, Shiv Kumar. Let me introduce Shruthi. Shruthi Prahlada is an accomplished engineering leader with more than 25 years of experience across healthcare technology and medical devices, across AI-driven platforms and cloud-based enterprise solutions. As site leader at DeepHealth, she established the Engineering Center and she leads the India Engineering Center, driving innovation in cloud-based diagnostic and teleradiology platforms while building high-performance teams. Her career includes leadership roles at Philips and IBM, where she worked across radiology, telehealth, analytics, and regulated medical technologies. Welcome, Shruthi.
Thank you.
Welcome, Dr. Madhav Hegde. Dr. Madhav Hegde is a senior technologist with more than 2 decades of experience in medical imaging and healthcare. He combines clinical practice with academic research, technology adoption, and entrepreneurship. He has authored peer-reviewed work, contributed to medical textbooks, and introduced the Rama ratio in cardiac imaging. His perspective brings the essential clinical lens to today's conversation. What intelligent technology means, when it enters a real diagnostic workflow and begins to influence patient care. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Together with these leaders and with their distinct perspectives, we will examine the same technology from the point where it is imagined, from the point where it is engineered and scaled, and the point where it finally meets the clinician and the patient. So let me begin with the very first question. AI is changing almost every part of medtech. Do you see it as some real innovation, or is it just a means of speeding up things? Probably I'll begin with you, Shruthi, if you could throw some light on this question.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's a bit of both, is what I feel. And how I would like to look at it is, if you see historically, maybe Dr. Madhav can also add into this, is, earlier it was all about how fast can I take an image? Should the resolution of the image is good? How sharp the image should be? Those kind of aspects is what we would be looking at. And now with AI that is coming in, the shift is different. Now I'm like, I have an image, I know what I can see, but how can I take it to the patient? The patient is there at my hospital. What can I give back to the patient saying that, yeah, is there a problem that you're dealing with? What is there any treatment that you need to go with? What is the best way to, handle your case? That is the kind of fundamental shift. So if the cancer screening is what is our key area that I'm working in. So the whole aspect is definitely cancer detection. It's not that it is not, but what do we want to do is we want to ensure that cancer detection happens consistently every time. For all different types of cases, we are able to manage this. And we should be able to ensure that this model is able to go everywhere. I mean, it is not constrained to a particular geography, region, or a particular section of society, right? That is where I think all this AI work is what is we are looking at. More volume, being able to do things that humans, I'm not saying cannot do, because we have been doing it all this time, but can we remove this dependency, like you talked about, Vadeesh, in the beginning, saying that, do I really have to wait for 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Right? Instead of that, can I have something that can at least give me a intermediate result, or give me a sense of where things are?
Yeah.
Right? So can I bring in that element of judgment using an AI? Can I help in screening majority of my cases? I have so many X-ray cases that is coming to a hospital. I might not ask for a complete analysis of it, but maybe I can look at screening, so that at least it can help me sift through. There are 50 patients, maybe where exactly should these patients lie? Which are the important cases? Which are the triaging part? So all these areas are some of the areas where I can use AI in my day-to-day work. So I think the shift is more on how I can use AI. Maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, sure. Yeah, I think what you're talking about is, yes, it has to help with innovation.
Yes, definitely.
It has to help with scaling.
Yes.
It has to be consistent.
Yes.
And it has to help with speed as well.
Yes.
Without which the real value will not be delivered. Dr. Madhav, how would you see it?
As you said, it's addressing all the three parts, not only accelerating, assisting, as well as the few of the things, some of things which probably humans cannot do that also. The example I'm giving is slightly esoteric, but it is the one which will cause the paradigm shift, and that is radiomics. So our visible eyes, we can look into only the 3 dimensions. But if you talk about the feature extractions, derive as many as thousands of variables at the pixel levels.
Yes.
The information we get is amazing. So take this radiomics with genomics, epigenomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, and make a multi-omic profile. So ideally, you do not need a biopsy. So, we are moving from an invasive biopsy to virtual biopsy. And you said we are not going to make any headline, but still, if you want some headline, I can say that pathologists will disappear much before radiologists. So that is not the idea.
Okay.
Of course, the surgeons are most immune, but even the mighty dinosaurs could not last for longer. So radiologists or pathologists, not an exception. But having said that, the screening part, to take it forward, currently, when we talk about the cancer diagnostic, she was focusing on, we say CA pancreas, we will stage it, stage 3, stage 4, stage 1, whatever. But with this, radiomics, genomics, and it is not going to be far away in the future, in the 5 years, we are going to label a diagnosis as this 36-year-old gentleman is likely to develop CA pancreas in the next years, and the probability of this is about 70%, and the diagnostic score or the confidence I have is about 75%. So we are going to get into more
predictive.
Exactly. It is going to be predictive, it is going to be prescriptive, it is going to be quantitative. And these are the essential 3 tenets of precision imaging. So AI is going to make us more into, precise radiologists, and we are going to the backbone of precision medicine itself. In addition to that, the paradigm shift beyond the radiology department is seen in surgery. So it is, if once we go about the acquisition, all our strong algorithms and totally automated acquisition. Even in MR, if you are going to get the volume acquisition as we do it with CT, surgeons will do all augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality. So before the operations tomorrow, they're going to rehearse the evening prior. Mm-hmm. So they can easily see that the vessel they might have to sacrifice, or they should be scared of cutting, or the nerve they might have to sacrifice. So all different scenario settings they can do, and so outcome will be better, the complications will be better, and naturally the anesthesia time required will be less. So it's going to be a true innovation. Beyond the perceivable limits of the human beings. That is one thing, no doubt about that. And the second part, automation is completely possible in radiology. She has already pointed about the workflow part of it. starting from the triage and the next level of resource allocation, order handling, flagging, everything till the patient comes to radiology department and it gets done. So automation, full automation possible, acceleration of each and every step possible, and fundamentally changing innovation we can imagine with AI.
That's I mean, that really sounds great. You said possibly there is no need for a biopsy.
Yes.
Imagine the quality of life.
Yes.
Right, and the time it takes to get to treatment. I think there is
Not only that, Vadeesh,
Yeah.
the whole term of a biopsy,
Yeah.
the amount of stress that goes to the patient,
Yes.
if you are able to eliminate that,
Yes.
that is a huge accomplishment.
Absolutely.
And secondly, I was talking about the biopsy part. Even it is applicable to even invasive imaging procedures.
Yes.
Say, if I am able to make a diagnosis of any coronary artery disease or cardiac disease without a catheter angio, so I think we'll make these all invasive diagnostic procedures extinct before we think of getting radiologist extinct. And therapeutic procedures, fine,
Yes.
because of the benefit you get. But for the diagnostic procedures, I think we should be as non-invasive or as minimally invasive as possible.
Which is a huge
Huge,
change.
yes, huge
from
change.
where it is right now.
Correct.
And you also said even surgeries can be a lot more.
Undoubtedly, these things have happened already in the neurosurgery part, but there is no wonder if it gets extended to all the thoracic part, abdomen part. So you take all MR images, superimpose it on, wear the all those glasses. I forgot that technical term, and it's all about enjoying a 3D movie. So you'll get more and more surgeons probably, all with a great success rate. It's not really an exaggeration.
Yeah.
It's a reality already in neurosurgery, and it is going to come to the other fields. And with already the robots are already there.
Yes.
I mean, the way surgeons are operating in the last 4 or 5 years, it has changed.
Yes.
So, point is, radiology will make the invasive procedures less frequent, and we are going to get the entire biological profile in addition to the pure morphological imaging. It is not necessarily restricted to cancer patients. So there might be a scenario where we diagnose a pneumonia in CT.
Yeah.
We might even say this is because of the streptococcal bacterium, and it has this genomic profile. And for this genomic profile, for this bacterium, probably ciprofloxacin or the similar class of drugs. So we will end up
Prescriptive.
So that is where the ideal world or the ideal radiology will head towards. It is not only for the cancer, even we might have a role in infectious disease. So it is entire biologic profile.
So mostly on the population health, I think that is what we are all leading to. It is not in how is it that we are able to reach out to the entire population in different ways.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Whoa.
Yeah.
Shiva Kumar.
I think in the past, right, like for any improving image, so we used to think that how can I improve my hardware, especially can I change the detector, can I go from 1.5T to 3T, and even in the case of dose, right, can I increase the dose and get more better images. From there we will now go on to intelligence based innovation, right, like we will be more thinking that can I make this with the available image, can I add more image and play with that and come up with a model which can we can make my image more sharper, like Shruthi mentioned, or can I make those images more, powerful so that I can quickly come up with the actual disease or like some kind of if there is any abnormality or something like that. So those things are now, AI is really changing that sides. Earlier, hardware innovation used to take time, right? Like, for example, if I want to come up with some new detector for even for simple X-ray, if I want to change even the dimension of it, it used to take 5 years life cycle to come up with a new device. Whereas I think that is not needed now. It will become slowly, in industry leaders like anybody, right, who will take a decision, can I solve this problem using AI? Then I will get into the innovation on the hardware side.
Yeah.
Of course, like still things are changing. For example, CT is coming with photon counting or like something like that. People will still innovate on hardware side, because physics is still evolving, right? Even I'm not saying it's not done. There are a lot to do even in physics side, but AI will play a significant role, which will help us to even time to market will be a much faster because of this innovation. So that's all I can, because doctor added a lot of things, which is like covered full spectrum. So I would yes.
Yeah,
He has taken us to the future.
Yeah, future. Yeah, I was imagining
It's like on a spaceship to the future. His time machine is what you have taken us.
Absolutely. From the impact point of view, true innovation, yes, it can contribute to all the three parts.
Yeah. So that's where I think we are going to our next question. While possibilities are enormous, how much of this is mostly innovation in the labs? How much of it is really measurable? So in your daily practice, Dr. Hegde, where do you see the clearest value? I mean, as of now, do you see it in diagnosis, prioritization, speed of reporting? Where do you see the measurable value, either readily seen or in the near term you expect to see?
Can you show that picture? I will give a couple of pictures. They are not directly related to AI. One is this, I'm very sure the CT guys will appreciate, or if they're a technologist. So this is a dose report. If someone undergoes a CT scan, how much dose is given?
yes,
Right? Is that important? How much radiation one receives?
Yes.
Right. So it is important. But from the treatment point of view, it may not be important, right?
Yeah.
Individual, we want a diagnosis and patient, she wants to get better. Yeah. But it has a huge impact as far as overall quality is concerned. Yes. What was the recall rate? How can we optimize the image acquisition? Only a small part of AI is used at this point of time. Otherwise, everything is deterministic formula, right? The second one is DEXA scan. Have you heard of DEXA scans?
Yeah.
Right? It's a dual energy X-ray absorption like CT and MRI. But the reason I showed this is totally automated. It is autonomous. Again, nothing to do with AI at this point of time because it has been going on since 1990. Does it have clinical value? Huge clinical value, because probably it is the gold standard most of the times for the diagnosis of osteoporosis. And most of us, have more probability of undergoing this scan rather than CT and MR in our lifespan. And it is totally automated for the last maybe 20 years, to an extent that, again, this issue will be, dwelling on for some time now after this. Ideally, we are supposed to authorize this and sign it off. But no radiologist is looking at this. It goes off directly consumed by orthopedicians or gynecologists. So it is totally autonomous. So does it have clinical value? Huge clinical value. So that is possible. Yeah. But AI as such, slightly it has gone. The first one did not have the clinical value. The second one did have clinical value, and it has become autonomous. The radiology has addressed the third part. That is already you said, the criticality part. Critical diagnosis like stroke, where it needs timely intervention. Yes. The point of golden hour and everything got popular because of the
48 hours.
So that is where radiology has added. I imagine it's already that the protocols are devised, machine captures it, the quicker sequences. Yes. You were talking about diffusion scan, ADC, and the perfusion image interpretation, huge data set. AI is already here. Yes. So it is incorporated already. And the reports get generated. Within 10-15 minutes, it reaches the neurologist. It has happened even in India as well. So that is another thing.
Correct. To add on to what you said, Dr. Madhav, is one is the detection part, but what it has brought is a significant reduction in the patient, that entire workflow. So let us assume that for a stroke patient, it was taking maybe from the time the patient comes to an emergency room to, actually maybe if it is a severe case going through a procedure, I think that has been significantly reduced because of AI being able to detect. In fact, there is a message that goes to the trauma group saying that there is potentially a patient that is coming. So like he's saying, One is in the AI space where you are, you're able to detect things. The second part is how we are optimizing this entire workflow so that we are reducing the time that the patient is there at the hospital, that the care is given to a patient. So the whole concept of reducing this time wherein we are able to treat a person faster, better, I think that is one of the critical areas where AI plays a significant role. And like he said, see, some of these are, he's more from the clinical aspect, but also AI in the operational and analytical aspect is also something. I mean, it is more for how do I run my radiology center, for example. Can I do scheduling better? Can I do my assignment better? Right? Can I have agents that can quickly tell me, hey, 2 patients have cancelled their visits, but then your room is available. So those are the non-clinical areas also that our AI agents can really help in. One is the clinical space, the other is the non-clinical space, and then a mix of both, wherein you have this data that is coming, but then finally I have my clinical person, that is the RAD, who's finally doing. So I think it is autonomous, it is a collaboration, like a partnership, and then finally some things that you have to leave it right now and in the operational space, and then finally some things which are still left best to the clinical judgment. I think it's a combination of all this, and AI has solutions in each of these spaces. And I think the whole focus is to see how we can get to more and more autonomous phase and see how we can do more and more of a left shift for in the healthcare space to see how we can do it faster and better. That is how I think this is shifting.
It appears that it is not subtle. It is already, and it is not just reducing any cognitive load. I think it is already showing up in some metric. Autonomous imaging is already realized. If images can go without radiologists' intervention directly to gynecologist or neurologist, I think there is already a metric that is developing, that is showing up, I think. So
some of the areas, if you look at, right, anatomy segmentation, and then take like Shruthi mentioned, workflow optimizations or workflow automation, and then you also have areas where it is like disease detection, like doctor mentioned, and then also image chain, right, itself, like improving image quality and things like that. These areas are real today. It is working. Products are in the market, FDA approved. There are multiple things. If you go to GE's portal, you find a recon DL. It's a deep learning algorithm which is using SNR and using the resolution. It's a real, right? That it gives a better image today. Then there is a product even in Philips like Smart Speed, and from Siemens there is a deep recon. So under reconstruction of image, I think it's already there. Its product is sold. Companies are making money out of it. It's a real. So where I think can be still something which improving is like Shruthi mentioned, which is not really difficult, like operational efficiencies, right, like bed occupancy or the queuing system. So those things people are not seeing much value still, but they are now investing there because it's like easy, right? It's actually a low hanging fruit to achieve. So that's what I can say. It's already real. So there is, but there is if you ask me if there is a more scope, definitely there is a lot of scope, especially in the area of workflow optimization, because if you want to reduce the scan time, that's an area which we should hit, and that's an easier way to hit, because disease detection, there are companies like Cure.ai, or like you take Viz.ai or take Rapid.ai. These companies are already produce product, lung nodule detection, right? So that's how these products are already there. But that's a riskier space because still we cannot eliminate, though doctor says that we will not have radiologists. I think that's still a point which we need to think. This is detection side.
But things like beds, occupancy, things like scheduling, they're really low hanging.
Very, very low hanging, and
correct.
That is something which I think AI can, and that is it is not specific to radiology, for example. It is very generic that can be taken across everywhere. And the workflow optimization, for example, this is a key metric that is there for a hospital. Also, I'll explain the reason why. So let's assume you have a patient for whom you are checking whether cancer exists, not, and there is see, if the person comes, you do a scan, and the patient goes back and has to come again for a rescan because the scanning was not done properly, or the detection was not okay, or the radiologist is not very clear, wants another scan. So this repeating the scan is such a huge investment, and it's taxing to the patient. One, you immediately call the patient and say, hey, I think you need to come back again. That is something that you want to avoid. And second is, you want to make a decision. So if the whole focus right now has been from the AI's aspect, if you see, to the engineering spaces, I have a patient who walks in and the patient walks out. By the time the patient walks out, can I give a conclusive result to the patient?
Yeah.
So that is a very key metric that I think all of us are, striving to achieve.
It is not just about time, but also about accuracy, precision.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because, see, a false negative is very, very dangerous. Right?
Yeah.
So the accuracy is absolutely...
Agreed. The example I tried to give by giving DEXA was when it can solve, more or less autonomous in the clinical area. Naturally, the rest of the non-clinical areas, they are low hanging and they must be done. They are easily achievable.
Yes.
So that was the purpose of sharing. These when it is focused, even the clinical issues can be solved very efficiently.
Yeah.
And AI, particularly with teleradiology, that is a perfect marriage.
Yeah.
It has, from the triaging point of view, the workflow management point of view, as I said, the order handling and the flagging of cases, it has done a wonderful job. And you were also talking about the measurable part.
Yeah.
And I think if you measure in terms of money, it would satisfy everybody. Yes. I'll give you again the contentious issue. Probably in India, teleradiology, and with possible combination with AI. At this stage, I would make a bold statement. Probably it has cut down opportunity for radiologists by 15%. Both in terms of the revenue as well as the opportunities. I think this should set the antenna of many. So 15%. So I think if
that's a huge number.
If the market has made a difference, that means it has to be a visual, the visible impact.
Yes.
So it has already translated into the revenue part of it. And at this point, radiologist is also hit. And I'm very sure there will be some kind of balancing acts everywhere.
Yes.
So what I want to say is, across every part, maybe the workflow part of it, or even the what we call radiology RDSS, something like CDSS.
Yes.
It is assisting many of our diagnostic processes. So all the segments, the assistive responsibility, autonomous responsibility, AI is making impact, has already made impact. And also in tuberculosis screening in Indian context.
Yes.
It is as simple as chest X-ray, but it has made a huge difference on the ground. So easily visible value it has shown.
Yes.
Very interesting. So I will.
I am in fact impressed that a radiologist is saying so much about.
Absolutely, no.
I thought it would be the other way around, where I would have to probably convince him, saying, "Yeah, you should." Use it.
I will tell you. I keep on telling, radiologist is the most technophile among the clinicians, and we. Without technology, we cannot make a diagnosis.
Yes.
So if you need a real champion in the healthcare industry, please pick up a radiologist.
And there are not too many of them.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, I told you it's a bit of sacrifice also. I'm talking 15% now.
I know. No, that's why I was also surprised.
Yes.
So with the limited population, if there is already reduction by 15%, then...
So there are many things, we need to go back and discuss on this. So two invisible things, I would say it has huge need, as she was already pointing out. Image acquisition, huge things. Only thing is we are not saying, but I have benefited by that. Anatomy segmentation. The segmentation principle he's referring to, it is again used in both the dose report generation as well as the DEXA scans.
Yeah.
So impact those areas, or even the cardiac function assessment. I really need not make the measurements. I always have been inspired by tailors and fashion designers, except for the fact of measurement. So AI really helps me.
Oh, yeah, that is very precise.
Madhav, you need not measure.
Yeah.
That makes me more
Correct.
quantitative. Because many of we radiologists, we escaped all these mathematics and numbers. That was one of the reasons I became radiologist. So why should I measure it?
Yeah.
So AI in that sense really is my friend. It is my friend.
Yeah.
And it will give you the most accurate measurement because all you have to.
And you're talking about false negative. And that is where it really helps me. Sometimes, honestly, we would have diagnosed that particular condition. Maybe 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or even 2 months ago. But finally, we are human beings and we cannot take that. Our processor is not efficient enough to immediately recall that. And that is where AI helps us.
Yes.
So false negative will come down because it will alert us.
Yes.
Look, I probably
You have missed something.
You're going to
Another
miss-
pair of eyes in a way.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
it is.
Yeah. So transitioning to another section. I mean, in all this, I think people, their biases, their beliefs, both. I think their willingness to revisit their assumptions, they also matter. I used to think at one point in time, NLP will never be accurate.
Yeah.
But then Gen AI changed my perspective. I mean, you can't now question NLP at all.
At all.
So likewise, Shruthi, you have built healthcare products, you have built platforms, teams across different stages of technology maturity. Has there been any time when you are forced to, change on your long-held, viewpoint or belief in your experience,
Sure.
in the context of AI or otherwise?
Yeah. No, actually, it has been. I mean, I've been in technology for quite some time. So, we are very proud that, technology can solve any problem. And so I will
Yes.
give you an example of what, brought me back to reality. Doctor was talking about detection of tuberculosis. So I was involved in a project where, we had to build a mobile app for ASHA workers so that they go and collect details about tuberculosis patients. It's a population health program. And what we had to do is the ASHA worker, if they find that there is a TB patient, then you have to do a follow-up. And there's a lot of taboo, of course, associated with TB and stuff like that. And this came as a program. This was one of my first, hardcore healthcare kind of a product development that I got into. And we built a prototype and, all gung-ho and everything. And that first prototype, I take it and to ASHA workers. We had an event in, I think, one of the hotel rooms that we had arranged. We got some 30 ASHA workers coming from all over Karnataka. Of course, this was a WHO initiative. It was supposed to be across India, but since it was the pilot, we wanted some feedback. And so we have ASHA workers there, and I start off with English, and they're lost. And then, there is dawning of, they are going to, you have to go back to natural language and you have to talk to them in their native mother tongue. And the architect guy who was starting, he said, Shruthi, I don't think anything is going to work. I think you have to take over because you have to start speaking in Kannada.
Yeah.
And then, so now I'm trying to explain a mobile app in Kannada, which I myself have not done.
Yes.
And then that's the first realization, right?
Yes,
Who is your
yes.
target audience?
Yeah.
How are they going to see? And
Yeah.
then, the questions start coming. They're not asking complicated technology questions.
Yes.
So the lady comes to me and says, I will state that in English here, but she says, see, I carry a notebook and a pen, right? And I go to each person along with the metrics that is specified for me to take. I also make notes, right, about this patient, maybe the family, maybe, here I have to be careful because there is too much of taboo in the family. Whatever personal notes that they're making. Where are you? How can I make that notes? Question. Second question. Can I make it in Kannada? Second question. Third question. Some ASHA worker has a problem in eyesight, right? Usually in notebook, they can write as big or as small as they want. Now she is looking at her mobile app. She says, all good, but I think for me, I need big letters, right? How can you do this? Colors. I mean, I was quite surprised. Somebody says, I can't make out. You have a blue color and you have this color. I'm not able. So what happens is, this was a realization for me as a technology person to understand, know your audience. Who is it that who is using? So what it has actually, the learning it has been is the importance of co-creation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mindshare is required.
that is a very important learning that I think I have faced in that session by ASHA workers, who really told me, you might be great in technology,
Yeah.
but does it really serve my purpose? So from that day, the whole concept of when you build a product, to look at it from a end user standpoint has become a very key aspect that we look into. That has been a very, a shift
No, I think,
in the way I think.
yeah, so many of us would have learned something similar in different contexts.
Yeah.
So we think what we have done
Then is the best.
the best.
Yes. We are trying to sell it, right? Saying this is she's not bothered whether it is on Android, Apple. She wants it on a basic phone with no connectivity. I need to do this. So those are the,
Yeah.
Probably one of the things, we think of the end user only after deployment.
correct.
So
That is why.
not to sell a domain expert, but end user has to play a role from the very first step of the development. The stakeholder involvement, I think, probably start at this stage.
Yeah. Yeah. In a way, I mean, making sure that accountability is shared. Make users also participate in the program. I think our next question is headed towards that. Which parts of the imaging workflow should AI assist? Which parts could it safely perform autonomously? And where should human judgment, clinician judgment, must remain non-negotiable? I think that is the next question. So,
Yes.
So, like I mentioned, it can assist definitely in multiple areas. Like I mentioned, anatomy segmentation, like brain tumor. If someone has to, it's sometimes humanly impossible to really look at the tumor, how it is growing. Right? Some of those things, AI can do a much better job because it does mathematics much better than anyone else. Right? So that can be these are the areas we can use as AI as an assistant. And then we can also look at some areas like autonomous, right? Like for example, X-ray movement, because the patient positioning. So these are the things I feel AI does better job, because human always can make small error, like shifting little, and then I'll have to recall that patient for one more scan. So those things can be avoided if I really look at the patient positioning, and then even look at, for example, in the area of workflow optimization, like protocol selection. Those things are I think these are the fantastic areas where AI can assist. Whereas AI can actually completely take over. Right? I'm just thinking. I'm not sure today, but in the future, I'm sure there will be X-ray kiosks. Maybe everything is automated. Just enter in, and then everything is scanned. Because you don't need a lot of technology stuff there if it is required, but may not be in countries like us. But at least for athletics, if I want to take some quick X-ray, so can that be completely autonomous? So I'm sure the areas will evolve over a period of time. Even today, right? In many areas, the patient registration, it's a simple thing. It can be automated, right? So those are the areas I'm thinking full autonomy will come. But where human assist, doctor may not agree with me, I still want to make a point that I don't want the signature from AI. Signature of the report that it should be from, because accountability of human, it's a life. It's patient. It can be me, it can be my family. So how much ever I trust my AI system, but I want my doctor to sign and say that this is this is something, though the report is everything is automated, it comes to my app, everything is fine, but I still think I want someone to really help me guide that. So there I think clinical accountability, regulatory safety is non-negotiable in healthcare. These areas I still think I need doctor's signature already.
I need you always on my side.
Because you are not my side, I thought I will be on your side.
Thank you so much. All these days, I thought only two persons can push my retirement. One is wife and second is government. But looks like AI can also push my retirement, and you are not, you are always on my right side.
Yes.
But can I add?
Please, I think so. You can add.
On the similar note, workflow. I mean, it is low hanging. I'm the first one to say, please automate.
Automate.
No doubt about that.
Yeah.
And the assistance part, it's RDS is what I call. That is what the term I want to introduce. Radiology, assistant, something like a CDS, CDSS,
Yes.
radiology decision support system.
Yeah.
So you give all the feedback, you alert, you annotate it, and you write possible red flag. But as you write, all those things it can do. You can get the references, the latest evidences. It has not still happened in radiology also.
Yes.
Updates, it is there. Clinical branch, it is there. But radiology, it has not happened. Reason is that it is because of the images. In the clinical, the non-surgical ones, where the update, one of the branches is very popular. It is more of a textual data.
Yes.
So in radiology, it is highly fragmented. From 5 to 6 sources, you need to get the references. So it has not happened. So again, area to explore for us.
Yes.
Good opportunity,
Yes.
even from the market point of view. And thirdly, to discuss about that autonomy part, can I have the slide? One slide, please. I know. The first slides, a couple of slides, exactly that is what I showed. The earlier ones. The DEXA one, Shiva, radiologist is not signing that for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
But the problem with that, as happens with the AI and the potential risk for the future, if they ask me whether the machine got it wrong, I do not know. I have already forgotten that, and I have not reported that for the last 10-15 years. So this is going to happen to most of us. Agents would have done the work 10, and we are supposed to be the problem solver or decision makers, but we have lost that ability.
Yes.
So that is what. So in that background, sometimes I get an opportunity to validate these foundation models. Radiology is quite a vast branch, and some of us practice ultrasound, CT, and even MR. Even in MR, we may not practice the hard part of it.
Yes.
So this is the hard part. All right.
Yes.
The creators and the promoters of the model were quite proud. They said, Madhav, don't give any primitive things. Don't ask what is this picture. Give some high ones where high cognitive levels, differential diagnosis. I said, fine. I threw this. This is, many radiologists will not identify many times because the area of practice. This is a cardiac picture.
Yes.
Some of the models, they were, no surprise, they were too good at. They said this is cardiac image. This is the short axis, and it is showing the anatomy, the segmentation part, and the specific cardiac anatomy. Perfect. It not only that, it took the context also. The labeling is there. I have mentioned it as SU hinge intentionally.
Okay.
NLP, but it read it as superior hinge. Probably you marked it for superior hinge, inferior hinge, and it gave diagnosis and the differentials. So it was accurate. And there was another model. It said probably because this kind of clock arrangement, it is widely used for representation. It is used in the hip joint as well as shoulder joint. In one of the models, Madhav, you are showing me hip joint.
Yeah.
So that the promoter was slightly upset. But hallucinations you cannot avoid.
Yes.
The question is, people talk about and criticize the machines for hallucination. We ourselves quite often hallucinate, so why should we blame them? So that's okay. And there were many answers for this. And the next one is equally important. Any technologies here by any chance? No. So this is again the same thing. They asked me to give an important, slightly complicated one, but I gave simple picture and I asked the model to identify what is this. Which modality is this? It looks like X-ray, right?
Yes.
Some of the models said it is X-ray, and they gave a wrong diagnosis also.
Okay.
As usual, there is a thickening is there. It hallucinated tuberculosis, everything possible. But one of the models and it was not the one I was supposed to evaluate, because they asked me to rank it among the 1 or 2, right? This was the outlier in that sense. Fifth one, and it said it is not X-ray, it is specifically scanogram. It made me understand it is the X-ray we take before doing the CT. And it said, look, the clavicles are elevated, the collarbones are elevated. It told me the position also. And this is what exactly we get taught in radiology. The first year resident identify the position, whether it is upright position and supine position, because based on that we can easily contextualize. The moment we say supine, we think of the ICU, but model did think in that direction. And as happens with human beings and radiologists, we come in all shapes and sizes and different grades. And can you believe that I asked to identify those wires? Many of them, they identified, someone said it is artifacts, but one of them said it is because of nipple piercing. Because I had asked to identify gender also. But what issues it brings to the forefront now? Ethnicity, the race, the culture, inclusivity. So that is what I want that slide to keep these things for us in mind. The model might have been, the data set might be from somewhere. It might work. The way it has been vet, it's different. So thing is that use the specific population
in the right direction.
Keep inclusivity in the mind, geographic boundaries. So probably that is the right way to.
This really talks about the possibilities.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And to add to his point, the same thing happened in our parent company, RadNet, when we went and spoke to the radiologist. They say sometimes AI is phenomenal. It is able to find out a lot of things that maybe as a radiologist I might have missed, right? It is. So the appreciation is there.
Yeah.
Saying that if as part of fatigue, the radiologist has missed something, you have a second eye, which is able to do this. So that is the key point, which I think I want to focus on, which is the positive side, where we are looking at AI being able to detect something that is probably missed, that is aiding the radiologist to be able to take the right decision. I think that is really the focus where we want to go. It is not about eliminating the role of a radiologist. The focus is, can I give all the important aspects, decision-making aspects to a radiologist so that he or she has everything, and based on his or her knowledge, they can take the right decision. You're removing the noise for the radiologist. So that they can take the right decision and not be, biased by I have to do this. They're bothered about how to report or whether this image came. Am I able to see it? I have to go to another place to see. A single view, whatever are the parameters that the radiologist needs to be able to get to a conclusive decision. And through that, you are able to give AI results, which is aiding that aspect. So when, as part of the parent company RadNet, where we are having this, what happens is when they talk to the patient also with respect to enrolling in a breast image program, what is being asked is, one is you have a radiologist. We also do have an AI algorithm that runs, and then it goes to the radiologist. Now, there is a lot of acceptance where patients are saying, yes, I would like to enroll into the program because I feel more confident, wherein I know that there is an AI algorithm that is running. Second is a radiologist is looking. And also, usually as part of any standard practice, there is this concept of peer review, which is already there. So what happens is the patient feels there are already 3 set of eyes that has seen my case before it has come to me. So look at the level of confidence that you have, right? In a single scan, in a single setting. So those are the kind of fundamental shift that we will see with respect to AI coming. Not really elimination, more about enhancing the role of
reducing the overheads
and ensuring that
helping
the
them make right decisions.
Exactly.
Gaining patients' confidence. Yeah, I think.
So put it in nutshell, my way. I mean, I totally agree with what Shiv said. I mean, from the signing part, authorization part, it is non-negotiable. But still, if you want me to give some leeway, because I am in favor of technology, maybe perfectly normal cases, screening
Perfect.
cases,
No need.
low risk,
Yeah.
and the model has predefined confidence score.
Correct.
Say model says I'm 90% score. ठीक है यार, जाने दो. Why to make him worry for next 2 days? I mean, so that we can, but that reasonable, that discretion we should always have. And we have seen as we speak about the spectrum and the capabilities of the radiologists, even models will have different abilities, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we cannot trust them. So in that sense, it is not only the technical competence what we are talking about.
Correct.
Even as a radiologist or any doctor for that matter, one thing we are very sure about: do no harm to patient.
Yes.
That one thing will
Always be there. Correct.
So sometimes when we get a doubt, naturally when we speak to our colleagues, junior colleagues, senior colleagues, or call to the referring physicians, so that at least no major harm is done. So will AI be so truly collaborative in its nature?
Yes.
So I mean, that is one thing. And the second point is that what about the continuity of the care? There are some edge cases.
Yes.
The referring doctor wants to talk.
Yeah.
Will agent give the consistent answer during the morning rounds and the evening rounds?
It will change.
And continue? Is it capable of continuing the dialogue? So, radiology is not only about interpreting the images.
Yeah.
There are other competencies. I
Yes.
think it is hard for the agent to capture it at
capture
this point of time.
Yeah. So, and I completely agree with doctor, because I feel that the role of the radiologist is like a clinical anchor, right? That is that person who is basically taking all this. You look at the priors, you look at the reports, you talk to the patient, you understand both the physical, mental state of a patient. There are a lot of not the soft elements that are there. How do you communicate? All these aspects are very key aspects of human nature that I do not think a machine will be able to take over at such a short period of time. And so that, and what might happen is all these are basically metrics that is coming, but stitching that together and getting the right treatment option which is well suited for the patient, like doctor said, saying that maybe there are 3 treatment options that are possible, but what is it that I should be recommending to this patient might have to take into consideration lot of other parameters, which probably an AI will not even ask, might just give a treatment option. But as a doctor, he has the experience to look at this and take that call. So that area, I think we at this stage, I would still say that we should retain that authority.
AI related, but she did make a reference to the problem of Asha worker about the color, which color. This is one common thing which the UX people have missed it. I think that whoever the viewers, they might find it very useful.
Yeah.
The prevalence of color blindness is 20 to 40%.
Correct.
So this is a huge message for even the UX guys also.
Correct.
That's 20 to
40%. It is variable. Depending on the ethnicity and the geography. Normal people, 20 to 40%. So it may not be color blindness as such, it is a weakness. We call it anomaly. So I think maybe AI should give more human-centric dashboards, colors. And it makes a sense. The moment the person becomes a bit nervous with the appreciation of the colors, they feel something wrong. This person is telling green, but I'm not seeing it as green.
Green,
so
yes.
they start wondering.
Exactly.
And already linguistic barrier has already. She would think, so I think that's an important point.
Thank you. So probably we have addressed this, but still let me ask this question. What does it take to take this innovation from lab to hospital? We talked about some aspects of it, that it is already in use, that we have already bypassed radiologist and it has been automated so that gynecologists can straight away proceed with the scan. But are there any challenges that we have to overcome when we take this innovation from lab to a hospital?
Yeah, definitely. At least it is again based on, the different deployments that we are doing. See, we build the solution and then we go and try to deploy it at a hospital. There are a number of aspects that come into when you are trying to deploy something new in a hospital. One is, from an infrastructure standpoint, there are a lot of elements that are missed. There are networking elements, especially from a hardware software perspective. When you are looking at all these aspects, needs to be taken into consideration. Second, if I'm taking an AI model and I'm trying to deploy it, I need to ensure that it is passing all the quality and regulatory guidelines. And what we need to keep in mind is these quality and regulatory guidelines are different for different countries, different regions, etc. The third aspect is a hospital or a diagnostic chain center is working in a certain way. However, tomorrow I want to deploy a solution, maybe some of the roles will change, right? Some role gets eliminated. You might have to cross-train people. They might have to get retrained into how to use this new technology. Maybe they are not needed, but they can be redeployed somewhere else, right? So these aspects need to be taken into consideration. Another aspect is, see, when you are developing the solution, we are using algoqa for our automation, whether it is functional, performance, etc. All said and done. Finally, when it comes to the hospital, there is no automation. Finally, it is a manual process where you are having people who are using your solution. So that needs a verification and validation cycle. Of course, they will try it once or twice, but what does the patient, what gives confidence to the patient and the clinical person is consistently it is giving the same result. Reliably, I can look at it, which means that whole concept of verification and validation plays a key role. So earlier it was, I don't have the technology, like Shiva was saying, right? I need to spend a lot of time. I have to do path-breaking things. Maybe the technology aspect is slightly easier and better today with AI. But how do I deploy it and how do I ensure that it gets adopted in a hospital setting and also change? See, generally humans are averse to change. So even if it is a change for the better, right? How do we get them to understand the importance, trust it, and say we will accept it? So all these aspects with respect to adopting and deploying a solution, it needs to. It is not as simple as we look at it.
Yeah, I think she covered most of the points. What I think is integration, interoperability, and the actual site, right, will have a completely different requirements. And one example is like we were discussing about X-rays, one of the feature. Then we were discussing about where and all it will be there, like imagination. So someone was saying that all these things are fine, but it won't work in ship. Then we were surprised why it is in the ship. So even in ships, X-rays are installed. So when we heard this, then we thought that our complete dimension of the way we look at the product, right, it changes. So I think we miss many things when we really design. So when we take it to the real world, we really experience. So lab to hospital or to the real actual deployment, there are challenges. The major challenges are always, like she mentioned, it's integration and interoperability and other things, and the networking infrastructure.
Yeah, makes sense. And some of the adoption related challenges.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Acceptance, adoption. Yes.
One is what we missed.
Yes.
What we didn't even know from a deployment perspective. Another is adoption. I think these two, it is not something that...
It is not a very simple thing. It's
not
very,
for AI.
very challenging. It's not an AI thing. See, what happens...
It's not AI thing.
Yeah, see, when we talk and we say, hey, we have something new. Oh, great. But I need my time to actually deploy this. Reason being, see, what do you go to a hospital for? You want to ensure that everything happens reliably. Right? That reliability and consistency aspect is extremely important. Now, when everybody knows that when you are bringing something new, there is a certain amount of disruption. Maybe you are at 90, even you might be working at a 95% efficiency with the old process. And maybe this will get you to 98, but initially there are hiccups. So what happens is people the entire hospital system is used to a certain way of working.
Yes.
If I want to bring something new, then, there is that thing, oh, I will have to change. Some things might not work. I have 20 patients who are already booked today. How do I ensure that, it doesn't bring a big disruption in this?
I agree that it's all about change management and transformational leadership. Perfect. But maybe I was wondering, maybe it is a time for all we developers. Maybe 5% of our staff should be in the hospitals and a site. Similarly, 5% of the hospitals should have some techie.
Co-creative.
Otherwise,
Yes.
co-creators. That's
Yes.
all. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
acceptance. And the tech champion is important.
Yes.
The one who she's the one who is going to bridge the gap between
Yes.
the adoption and the technology. So, and our collaboration at the site of deployment should go beyond the procurement. Otherwise, it's only the procurement team which keeps on discussing for 1 year.
Yeah.
Even that point, the end user has not come. So end user come, and naturally there is a sort of dissatisfaction. This is the way I work. This is how the workflow works, and this has been going on for the 15 years, and this has been generating a 25% operation margin. And then you are going to ask me the way we should change, and we were never consulted. There comes the human parts of resisting. So I think at every level, conscious remembrance of a collaboration should bring. I think that should be.
No, absolutely.
Otherwise, it's going to, and the friction point management. Or the users or the guys who are on the floor, they will be knowing the friction point.
Yes.
So take the feedbacks on a regular basis.
Yes.
It is not sell the product and run away. So my strong advice and the request is, whenever you sell something, please account for next 3 years of maintenance also. So let the cost be inflated, but otherwise it will not succeed. So that is what.
Yeah.
So those days, Vadeesh, where you give a box, you have a procurement, you give a box, and then you forget about it, are gone.
Yeah.
We have to start from day one to assume that is why I brought that concept of co-creation, because that I do not think is going to go away. That is going to be a very, very key aspect, because if you want adoption in a hospital, this co-creation is absolutely important. We need to do this because we are facing this. No matter how much we have taken feedback, I mean, even in our case, we constantly have connect with a parent company which is in the radiology space, and we keep doing a co-creation. Still, when you are co-creating with a particular radiology firm and you try to deploy it into another
Elsewhere,
hospital,
things change.
Things change.
Yeah.
I mean, your solution is the same, everything is same, but it is absolutely different. So that is the reason this
There are
aspect
cultural aspects as well.
there is lot of aspects. Like I said, deploying a solution.
And the 6-month support, hand holding, they should disappear. Those words.
Yeah. So one question for you, Shiv Kumar.
Yeah.
So when there is a commercial pressure and there is a technological possibility, and then there is patient safety point, they're all moving in different directions. And what principles, your own personal principles, guide you to make a final decision in such situations?
See, I think for healthcare, I always think I should be putting myself in the patient's shoes, or my family. That's the purpose of the product, right? So I think always for me, what is even from like Siemens, Philips, and GE, what we thought is patient safety is non-negotiable. So that is something. It's not just principle. It's just like the belief system, right, in which we work for. So we always think that should be the number one paramount priority for our development, product development, or decision making, whatever it is. That is why we emphasize on DFMEAs or like FMEAs, when we really think what can fail, how can it affect the patient. So that's the main questions we ask. So that's the philosophy or the principle in which we operate. At least for myself. Yes. Always been thinking, if my father is in that way, or if it is my family who's in that way, how it is going to affect. So what should be the priority? That's how we operate.
Thank you. For you, Dr. Madhav. Can you think of a situation that made you rethink the relationship, the balance between clinician or human expertise and technology or AI, for that matter? Has there been any situation where it made you rethink your position about technology? Did you have to rethink?
The one thing one is technology sometimes challenges, but the other way, honestly, I feel technologically I'm challenged. Every day you have devices, you need 10 notifications to update. You start questioning, is it, really technology challenging me, or am I technology challenged? But that is one part. Yeah, it's more than being challenged. I would say it's more of being humbled by the technology. We would have diagnosed several cases. Radiology is all about pattern recognition.
Yes.
Even though it looks simple, many a time and many cases, it is a first year trainee radiologist makes the good diagnosis. I would have done the same thing, 25 years ago. But over the period, pattern recognition is again related to your memory.
Yeah.
And so many things, neural networks develop and they disintegrate. So this was one of the cases. I knew this. I have done it right and left. But it was not striking to my mind. Not that it was the end of the day or nothing. But I was not able to. But I took the help of the technology and specifically AI, and it gave me the diagnosis. And it was only for that factor, and I was not able to recall. It is nothing but enchondroma, that calcification pattern. I knew that it is called popcorn and arc of all those things it was. But still, that name I was not able to relate, and it picked up. So as a human being, we are used to use the technology, and I would say it is foregone conclusion that technology is better than us. So I have made peace with it. So as long as, but my expectations are also less. It helps me on 80% of the occasions. It's fine now. So one of the ways to progress is, if you forgive, you will advance, either in technology or in your personal space. And if you could back to the previous one, can you get the previous slide? One before. Yeah, this one. Anyone can identify this? This is not radiology, please.
Just AI.
Superman. I appreciate that. Great. So these are the models. Okay. Kasparov one, Vichy one, and another guy one in 2005. And probably in the last 10-15 years, no grandmaster, naturally international master, has won a game against it. Yes. No surprise. So they are much, much better than us. Maybe particularly the stockfish and Leela, they have a ranking of 4,000, 3,800, and humans, we have 3,000. So there is no comparison. But does that mean the human chess players have vanished? In fact, now we have multiple. We have battery of chess players, and this is a thing which enthuses me as a radiologist. Hopefully, like chess players, we still keep on flourishing.
We have a few questions from the audience. I think there are 3 questions, right? So one is, a radiologist spends years studying, training under supervision, earning professional credentials before being entrusted with patient care, and then gets better with experience. What is the corresponding pathway for an AI system? How do you determine that it has seen enough cases, learned the right lessons, and is truly fit to participate in diagnostic decision making? Probably.
I can take a stab at it, because see, when we go again, it goes back to the aspect of co-creation. So what happens is, when we take a model or a solution that we have developed, and we take it back to the parent company or wherever it is getting deployed, what we do is we do multiple cycles. See, we actually are spending time with the clinical person to say, okay, you check this, you are training the model again and again. There is annotation that is there. And then, the model learns again. And this is a repetitive cycle. When we visited one of our radiology parent companies in one of the centers, they said, like doctor pointed out, there is maybe a scar, an operative scar that is there. Because the patient had a previous some other case, and there is a scar, and AI has not been able to identify that it is a scar, but identifies that maybe as an anomaly that is there in the patient. Second is piercing, very, very common thing. One is pierce, or there is maybe an implant that is there for the patient, right? And AI sometimes is not able to detect it. So what happens is, definitely a radiologist has taken so many years to learn. AI also will take time to learn, but the learning curve might be faster. The reason being, if AI is fed with so much of data, then they keep the learning curve is way faster than this. And what we are doing is, one is you feed the AI models with previous images that is there in as part of. The second is also, as and when the radiologist is looking at the images, they also annotate. So that ground truths also keeps feeding. It is not a once for all, okay, this is published, model published in 2025. 2026, I have probably another 10,000 cases that I can feed it into the model. So it is going to be an ongoing process. And that's the reason I continue to say the clinical anchor is still going to remain very relevant. AI is going to assist you. Of course, we will go to the autonomous stage, like he says. See, the autonomous draft reporting is what we are looking at, wherein you have the AI result that comes, everything is normal, 5 parameters are normal, the report is already generated, all that the RAD has to do is check, good, I sign off. Yeah, that is what the radiology needs, because out of 50 cases that I get, all 50 are not this way. I have so many, 30 cases are normal, maybe only 20 cases. In that, 2 cases are critical and others are not. So if all the normal cases can be quickly screened and a draft report created where, yes, I have my radiologist who's looking at it and signing off, but then we get to a stage, like maybe not today, maybe, okay, 2 years down the line, we say, like he said, for other cases, we can say, okay, it is going to be completely autonomous reporting for a normal case. But maybe for others, maybe only 20 need my RAD to look at it because there are 10 other parameters. So it is going to be a learning curve. Only thing I see is it might be faster because we have a lot of information. That is how I would see it. Maybe Dr.
Anything
add to it.
You want to add?
Shiva, you want to add?
Yeah, I think she covered most of the points. The learning is going to be faster also because the access to data, the earlier, and the computational power, which was not there earlier. Now we have that in the market. So I think it is only going to be much faster, and it's going to be only at which very higher scale and with higher speed, right? So I think that's what is helping the companies, the technologies to decrease the learning curve.
I thank the audience for that question. Along with Shiva, I think this person is also quite empathetic and sympathetic towards radiologists. So if the post session, if you help me to recognize, identify them, I would say thanks. And secondly, from the personally, I'm not a fan of these certifications. I believe in on-job training.
Yes.
We have spent 10, 12 years. If you spend till 35 years, what is the productivity?
Yes.
People come out of it to 4 years and the people talk about it's all about time. I mean, AI says we are going to make it accelerated time. So why should we spend 10, 15 years for training? It is possible.
So radiologists can start earning sooner.
Naturally, I'm talking about the productivity. I don't say, if someone can be trained about 4 years, 5 years, in the finance or aeronautics engineer, why not us? I mean, each and everything is critical. And that is what the chess has done. Those models, it helped to help to create many more chess players. So we can use these AI models to train radiologists. So empower radiologists. And secondly, from the certification point of view, that is the thing. I mean, I think all these MNCs they will come up with their own products certifying the agents. As we are certifying us, X certified data analyst. So X certified agent 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
And they need to renew that for every 1 year. And how do you prevent the regression? All of us, we regress. I mean, of course, senility has not come into this audience, I'm sure, but it would come. So how do you address that? I mean, people talk about feeding the data again, fresh data, keeping them. I mean, it's going to be a difficult task. But certification, I think, would be a requirement for many of the agents also. But I think, again, will radiologists be involved in certifying them? Complex question.
Possible.
No, in fact, actually, when he was talking, the teaching aspect,
Yeah.
is a very important, in fact interesting. The reason why I say this is, Vadeesh, what we also are looking at is, let's assume, you have a radiologist who looks at the CT cases and MR cases, maybe of 2 body parts.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't look at everything, right?
Yeah.
And you are feeding all this data about the radiology of this particular radiologist, and finding out, what are how many cases this person has read, and you have a trend saying CT images related to head, which is related to this area, maybe this radiologist is, struggling based on the data, right? That is there, you have collected and you have seen. So automatically you will give a training to the radiologist saying that, hey, this is one area, this is probably something that is happening manually as part of the peer review process and everything that is happening in the hospital. This can become automated.
Yeah.
You are teaching agents for the radiologist to be trained based on his or her weakness, which he might not even know, saying that these are some, he might know there are some cases where I consult, but he might not be able to make this judgmental call that this is the area, right? So that can be something which...
Absolutely. I have been trumpeting and championing the AI for this.
Yes.
Self-auditing is going to be one of the biggest roles AI can play.
Exactly.
Imagine I'm not being assessed by my boss. If the agent, the neutral agent, non-human agent, if it can does that, it's a blessing for me.
Yes.
I'm not labeled, I'm not branded. Otherwise, if someone else, I'm not judged. So these are the areas. So if we use our human discretion and natural, the human being, what we are meant for, if we use the agents, there are innumerable use cases which can be perfectly used on the ground. This is a great case. Self-auditing, as all QA, self-auditing, we can get further at the bone depth.
Yes.
So I'll move to another question in the interest of time, and I'm taking more time. Probably I'll take another 8 minutes, not more than that.
No, it's okay, Vadeesh. They have already promised me tea and coffee. So are you reminding them or reminding us?
Both. No, I'm just trying to tell you that I'm taking longer. Point one, and also it is a reminder to the team. So this question probably we have answered, but I think it helps the audience if it comes from you. Again, as a reinforcement. The question is, medical professionals are trained, certified, licensed, and accountable for their decisions. I think this question is around accountability. And you asked for it from Dr. Madhav. AI is none of these. As AI increasingly influences diagnosis and treatment, where is the accountability boundary? Who ultimately owns the decision when an AI recommendation contributes to a clinical outcome?
So, you want me to take it? I'll take that. See, we have repeatedly discussed this. In this sense, and it is necessary to discuss these things repeatedly as well. They're quite important. As we discussed in the earlier context, it is not only the reading ability, either in case of a radiologist or some other specific narrow focus in case of any other clinician or surgeon. So it is beyond the technical competence, and more important is your accountability, responsibility. As a human, I do not want to hurt a fellow human. Will agent think that way, or is it going to align with the agent? So this is the biggest factor, the ethics part of it, and the human part of it. Finally, the onus is on us. So, and probably that is one more area the developers can slightly outsource the risk on the hospitals or other by making them co-creators.
Yeah.
And similarly, co-creators, particularly I'm talking about the industry, radiologists, doctors, or the hospitals.
Yeah.
If you want to be the part of the growth, of the AI growth, I think you partly shoulder the responsibility, and we have all the right to get the revenue part also.
Yes.
So why not only the responsibility?
Yes.
Let us talk about the revenue also, because in the real world, finally, it boils down to that part as well. So let us share in the true sense, collaboration. And at this stage, we are talking about the signing off part. The onus lies with the radiologists and the clinicians. But having said that, it's all about the data set and the efforts put earlier as well. The liability, the partial liability should be with the developers also. So we shared it's all about co-creation. Similarly, responsibility should also be shared. I do not know the legal nuances of it, but collective responsibility is the word, and that's
and where
points.
both risk and reward are shared.
Yes.
I think that is the best.
And I think that also falls to the basic tenet of collaboration, right?
Absolutely. So one other question: if training data is mostly from one geography or population, can diagnosis become unfair? Will the results be still reliable?
Yes. Yeah, I think Shiva.
I think this is a common problem we face in and day out, right? Like data needs to be multi, demographies and multi like geographies, because it cannot be. Machine doesn't understand that. Like for example, if I'm taking an African citizens, scan, and then if I have an Asian, so there is a completely different. Dynamics, right? Like a person's height or body mass, whatever it is. When you take such data, especially when you take computer vision data, right, camera data, like, and then you feed it for the development of models, there is a high chances of that you will miss important cases. And then sometime even for body mass, right? Like we think the pregnant women, non-pregnant women, like there is a different variation of data is, what happens is if it misses, right, the important case may be missed. So for learning, it is important that we cover most of the geography and most of the variation of data, but we may not able to cover it. Sometime what happens is now even technology is improving there. If like NVIDIA's new technologies, right, Omniverse or like Isaac. So what can it is, we can also plan for synthetic data to cover most of the scenarios. So there are areas which we are improving there also, but as we cannot miss data. If you want a high precision and accuracy in the model development, you need to have across the geography data, and we are encouraging that. There are data residency laws and governance laws which are not not allowing to transfer data from China to US or maybe from US to Japan. There are governance. There also there are technologies improving. Can we use transfer learning? Can we use some technologies to make sure that we replicate that and get it done? So there are things are happening, but definitely data is a challenge, and across geography data is extremely important to get the high accurate and precise output from the models.
No, absolutely. I think I completely concur. There is no way that we can look at any data from just one geography or region. Ethnicity is a very, very important aspect, and we cannot ignore that. I think doctor can also say that, based on ethnicity, there are a lot of things that are very much, even from a physical aspect, there are a lot of conditions that we need to take into consideration. Like a lot of Indians are very prone to, say, cardiac issues, which is probably not the case in maybe the European population. But if you train the model in a specific geography, then that can be easily missed by models. So it is definitely a very important aspect. The training data set is key element.
In fact, my picture, that's my favorite thing. As I said, it brought out several issues. Data should be inclusive, quite heterogeneous enough. Ethnicity, race. All those things are fine. But having said that, if we want to solve our regional problem, take it 140 crore population. So we have enough data, and we have our own several gunny bags of problems. So let us not too much worry about the problems of the rest of the world. Let us solve it parallelly. But I think there is enough here, enough heterogeneous data. We need to have a structured one from across the directions. So we can have our own solutions and the models.
Agreed.
And extending the discussion on a similar line with the other clinical research, right? Some of the legal requirement is that some of the trials should have happened even in the Indian context. So I think this is a more of a policy level decision, and at the level of economy as well, rather than at a micro level what we are discussing about.
Because regulatory aspects to introduce in markets, right, like NMPA or CE, or to go to FDA, or even in India right nowadays, there are regulatory aspects that you need to cover.
But ideally, I'm not really bothered about the rest of the world, as long as it helps me to solve our problems in a reasonable, economy scalable way. It's perfectly fine. Data limited to our borders, let us solve our problem. Our problem is TB, and thankfully it is not yet Ebola. Our problem is diabetes and
Yes.
our genetic
TB.
makeup is different.
Yes.
So let us, I think we can,
Perfect.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah,
Agree.
yeah, there is enough to
Solve within our country also.
Yeah.
There are so much
Possible.
to solve.
Yeah.
And secondly, if you create a great model, great solution, people will forget the black box behind that. You start performing. So you were talking about the deployment and all. But if it you have already performed somewhere else, people will not ask what is how
Trust.
it came from.
Yes.
The trust has developed by the
Yes.
efficiency.
Yes.
So if you really develop a foundation models, if you are able to cater the needs of 100 crore, if not an entire 140, I'm very sure people will take
Rest
that
of them will
product.
fall in.
Yeah.
Will use it.
I mean, ideal
Yes.
utopic scenario, but still.
So I'm moving to closing round, and I'll probably
Vadeesh, I have a question.
go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
So, hi. We heard about AI and all. It is quite fancy to hear that. Okay, so I just have a question like, how can it become more affordable to the common man? Because, see, when it comes to the likes of Leelavati or Fortis or Apollos, people can go there and they can get it checked and done. But for a common people who goes to a government hospital, so when it can become affordable to the common person. And one more thing, it should be more preventive rather than prescriptive, right? So is there any like, what do you think about that? When can it become that kind of affordable and preventive for the people? That's what my question is.
Yeah, so from an affordability thing, I think that is definitely a problem statement that we are still yet to solve. In the sense that equitable healthcare, I mean, we were talking
talked
just
about it.
before the actual session. I mean, we were all saying that what we are all aiming for in the healthcare space is how do we ensure that access to healthcare is there, whether I am looking at a hospital in the US or a district hospital here in Karnataka. How do we bridge this gap? I think AI, with the kind of models that we are building, will be the one way to bridge this gap. I am with you to say that today I don't think we are there yet, but I'm sure that in the near future that is definitely an area where we will, with AI, we will be able to get to this equitable care access to everybody, whether it is a developed country or a developing country or whatever it is. And that I think is really where we should be aiming at, not at just building the models for.
And it will allow, like, see, the AI, it's also wrong to think that it is only the developed nations problem. I'm sure that it is not so far for our, the people in universities will solve this problem, and it will be accessible to the remotest villages in India. It's just a matter of time. That it is not and it's also end of the day profitability, economy of scale, and all, right? So I think who imagined that Google Pay I will use in a tender coconut shop, right? Just a matter of time. And this AI is the way to go for a scale, whether it is. Yes, there are companies who are even local. See, Cure.ai is a company which I never thought that they will have an FDA approved product in so short span. I mean, Indian company where Indian founders, it is possible. Why not Vadeesh can tomorrow start something like that? There not a lot of startups today, if you see IITs graduates, are thinking about such the primary healthcare centers problems to solve. So it is going to be solved. I think it is not, and AI is easier to solve that way, in a way, if you look at it.
It's headed in that direction.
It's headed in that direction. It's just a matter of time. And like you mentioned, the trust also has to improve, right? I don't think if I go and tell this to in remote village, they will not they still need that sprint film. If you say it will come on your mobile, you can just check. I don't think they will. Even my mother still asks for passbook, right? She says that it should be printed. If you say that digitally, if record comes, not. So it takes time. It's both evolution and adoption.
See, it might not have happened to the extent you and I want.
Yes.
But access has drastically improved.
Yes.
Particularly in the last 6 years.
Yes, it has
the
improved.
telemedicine and teleradiology is now well established.
Yes.
And why not? Even Bangalore, that so many teleconsultations are happening.
Yes.
And that is all about access. And consultation rates definitely have fallen. As I was talking about 15%. It has. I mean, the cost is naturally, if someone has started earning less, naturally it has benefited. And remote areas, you are getting a qualified super specialist report, even taluka places in Karnataka, and they get the report within 6 hours. So access, equitability, we have moved in that direction, and nothing else can do better than teleradiology
Yes, teleradiology.
and AI for that.
Yes.
And pathology and radiology are, most they are fertile ground for technology adoption. So, great question. Maybe we might not have achieved to that extent,
Yeah.
but we, to some extent, we have already achieved that.
Yes.
So, so hopefully, when Vadeesh calls me during next year, so we will have grown much.
Thank you.
We'll meet you much sooner.
No, this is the way how to book the next session. No, I have included with them also. Huh?
Yes.
Absolutely. So,
Probably ask one question each, rapid fire round. One word, one sentence, one phrase, anything is fine. AI in healthcare, is that overhyped, underhyped, or misunderstood? Dr.
Doctor is the question.
Madhav.
I mean, it's none of them. It is evolving in its own pace. Sometimes in the energy spikes, lull phase, sleeps, gets up, but it is evolving.
Thank you. What is harder, building an accurate AI model or earning clinicians' trust?
Definitely earning a clinician's trust.
Thank you. One healthcare problem AI should have solved by now, but has not yet.
I always think simple aspects like bed occupancy and queuing, those things would have been solved by
No one has checked that, I think. Yes. One aspect of medical imaging that should never be fully automated.
Any deviation from the expected normals. And when the confidence level of the defined confidence level is, say, less than 80%, 90%, never automate it, authorize. That is non-negotiable.
I think the clinician or the RAD at the center, I think elimination is definitely, I also do not think that is one thing that we should be looking at.
Sure.
No
So-
signing off, no signing
No,
off.
yeah, for
Understand.
like
think-
we said,
Yeah.
anything
We discussed-
normal
Yes,
is
yes,
still
no,
okay,
sir.
but
Yes.
otherwise,
Absolutely.
one which we cannot reverse.
Absolutely.
Right?
yeah.
Please don't leave leave the discretion with
Yes.
the human being radiologist in the loop.
Yeah.
Human.
So I'll probably leave it at that. I think we have had a great session. What stands out, from this conversation is that, it's not just alone the models. It is also about accountability. It is also about responsibility. It's also about co-creation. It's about involving the users. They could be clinicians. They could be patients. The outcomes are already showing up. There are metrics that are presenting themselves. And obviously, cognitive load is also reducing on the radiologists. The impact is felt, may not be to the extent that, common men are expecting as of now, but I think it is headed in the right direction. Shruthi, Shivkumar, Dr. Madhav, thank you so much for being with us and sharing not only your expertise but also the experiences and more importantly the principles. How do you really go about making decisions when you are confronted with competing issues? Thank you so much, and thanks everyone for being here. Thanks those who joined online as well. We hope you live with a clearer view of both the promise of AI-powered diagnostics and the responsibility required to make that promise real. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vadeesh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thanks a lot.